Hi, my name's Geoff, your friendly podcast host bringing you positive stories from South London. We're so glad you've joined us today. This is a place for you to find out how to look after your own health, but don't worry, that's not scary because we'll be introducing you to community organisations who are out there to give you a helping hand. All organisations' features are credible, evidence-based, providing free support in London. So if you're feeling lonely, feeling lost with your health and well-being, feeling disconnected, or if you just need a pick-me-up from the end of a long day, this is the place for you. So sit back and get ready to listen to positive stories of resilience and community spirit, and take some time to think about your own health and how the environment impacts that. Let us know what your thoughts are by commenting and like us. Please sit back and enjoy the show. With love, the Community Bridges team. So welcome back to the Community Bridges Spotlight series. Today we're going to be talking to a female-led BAME organisation who have an amazing holistic approach at combating health within the BAME community. The organisation is called Feed Me Good, and we're very fortunate to have Nureen, the founder, and one of her members who we'll speak to a little bit later. Don't forget to leave your comments and thoughts and enjoy the show. Okay, so Nureen, thank you for coming and joining us today. It's Saturday. We're down at the Bradfield Centre in Peckham, so welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
Oh,
I love coming down to South London.
So you're not actually from South London?
No,
then?
I'm actually from Northwest London. I live near Wembley.
Oh, right. Oh, I didn't know. I thought you was more local than to South East London.
I know, but my work is a lot down here, so that's why I'm always down here, to be fair.
I guess it's quite a widespread network you guys already
Yes,
have.
exactly. I've been working in this area for the last 5 years.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
And is that 5 years across London or particularly inside?
5 years across this area, but I've been all over London for the last 6 years.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's go back a little bit and tell people what you're all about. So you run...
So my name is Nureen Glabes. I am the CEO and founder of Feed Me Good. We are a community interest company. We are BAME, female-led organisation. I started this business 6 years ago with the Prince's Trust, and I launched in 2014. I did a lot of testing. So when I first started, I was doing like weight management and kind of going to my background, which is public health, nutrition and food sciences. So I really wanted to find a job that I really loved. And one of them was working in the NHS with the healthy eating team, dietetics and public health at the time. And I really loved it. And I mean, when I first started out, like I was a young mum, so my son was like 1 year old when I first started out. And I wanted to go back into that kind of job, which was teaching people about healthy eating and nutrition. And I would say my superpower is that I match food to nutrition. So my chef hat comes on first, and then my nutritionist has comes on. I'm like, right, what are you deficient in? Let me sort you out. And I think because I always love food and I've been cooking since I was 4, and my families are always big on food, that I was always able to learn about different cultures, and food is a beautiful way of bringing people together. And then that kind of like inspired me to basically form Feed Me Good and develop it from there. So we are a health and wellbeing organization. We specialize in sustainability. That is literally at the front of what we do. We are all about celebrating food. We are all about celebrating cultures, bringing people together, teaching them essential life skills like health, wellbeing, budgeting, money management, employability, and sustainable skills, so they're able to thrive. I think what makes us different is that we are BAME. We're female-led. We really embrace the community. We've got a very high Muslim demographic. I don't know if it's because my name is Nureen and it's a Muslim name, which means a person who brings light. Maybe so, don't know. Fantastic. But it's amazing. I have incredible clients like IKEA, the housing associations. One of our students here, she literally was one of my first students from 4 years ago, Trina. And it's just, I feel like it's funny, right? Because we're in Black History Month, and I was so happy.
A lot of people have forgot this because obviously everything going on. But it is Black History Month.
It is Black History Month, and I thought I'm at a stage right now where I'm so grateful to yourself and Sandra, who's also my SSE fellow, to basically be celebrating Black history and the BAME community and all the incredible health and well-being that we are working with. Like the whole purpose of Feed Me Good is to break down the BAME inequalities, health inequalities that we face. And I want to ensure that my beautiful community, all of us, is able to acquire the information and the knowledge and the life skills they need to take control of their own health, to understand that your food is healthy. We might need to change a few things around to make it a bit more healthier, but regardless, you've got a good basis, you know? And I think that's probably one of my passions, but also I am paving the way for my future generations behind me. So I want to ensure that all my beautiful kids that come from different countries, their families from different countries. Like, I'm not born here, I'm born from Jamaica. I came here when I was young because I had my accidents. I'm partially blind and deaf and dyslexic, which is funny. But all of those labels that I have is fine because that makes me think outside the box. And that's why when it came to Feed Me Good, I wanted to be very innovative with my approach on when I talk about nutrition. Yes, my background, I've got 20 years experience in manufacturing, food, retail, public health and food sales and cooking and chefing. But I wanted to take that combined life skills that I've acquired over the years and just teach. Like I'm all about leveling up my communities, and I've worked across London and outside of London.
And that's where your kind of impact sits then. The Feed Me Good impact for the community as a CIC is obviously to educate people in better nutrition, making it easier to understand. Because there is such a... I've always been a fan of trying to understand nutrition. It seems to be, from not someone who studied it, someone who's just looked into it, very contrasting information constantly about what's good, what's bad, how to cook things, how not to cook things. And it just seems that the general public do have quite a bad understanding of nutrition, particularly.
And it's not their fault, because the truth is, even when I was learning, so I did like a lot of modules, and one of the modules I remember I was doing a paper on labeling. And labeling is so funny because it's meant to be confusing for the average customer, even though they have like different regulations and you have to have it a certain way. Like if you look at a label, I mean, some people don't realize that the first 5 ingredients is the highest quantity of the product. So if it says salt, you're eating salt. If it says sugar, you're eating sugar.
Yeah.
But the thing is, when you start looking, it says, marketing is so amazing because it's like, one of your 5 a day. It's packed with fiber or vitamin C. But then you look at the back of the label and it's loaded with sugar. So you just think to yourself, how do you find a balance? And I think that's why I love what I do with my amazing team, Kalita and Hamina, because I am able to take nutrition and have it in a chef's hat. So I'm not going to come to you and be like, oh my gosh, that is so unhealthy. No, I'm going to feed you cake. In fact, I'm going to bake you a wicked cake and be like, do you know what? I'm going to be like, do you know what? You've got all the nutrients that you need. I've made it gluten-free, dairy-free. I've added some beautiful flavor in that. I've explored the whole world. Like when I go holiday, I go for food. So I go see my loved ones, but I also go for food. So I'm that woman that's going through immigration with that big, massive 25 kilos of spices and herbs. I'm praying that customs is good to me. Like, please, Your Majesty, let me through. I've got nothing to declare. Yeah? Right? So I'm that lady that does that. But I feel like it's my duty as the founder and CEO of Feed Me Good, but also as your public health nutritionist and also your chef, to be able to learn as much as I can from everyone, from all the cultures, all the communities that I serve, so that I'm able to translate that information to you, to give you the best optimum health, to give you the best skills that you can be like, do you know what? General sir, me have a high blood pressure, my type 2 diabetes, what do I do? I'm going to the doctors, they're reading these numbers to me. What the hell does it mean? And I can say to you, these numbers mean this. You need to incorporate this into your diet. You need to have your body a bit more alkaline. I really try to do the more naturopathic side of things because I even, like right now, it's flu season. My son I refuse for him to be sick. I'm sorry. This morning, my mum was like, Nureen, can I have, boil up some ginger, some garlic? I said, Mum, I'm going to add some things. I had some honey, some turmeric, and I added black pepper to activate the turmeric to give it more power.
Yeah.
And I said, like, right now, you need to go back to your roots, which is all those nice things our families would have done for us when we was younger, or the bear rum, the floral compounds. That NHS ain't going to tell you about that. That's why I feel like it's my duty to make sure that the BAME community and non-BAME community alike is covered. So that's the reason why I'm like so passionate about showing you that you don't need to go to NHS to get, a lot of your systems checked. I mean, your symptoms checked when it comes to like even a common cold. It's just simple things you can do to boost up your immune system. And that's why when it comes to our engagement and our community cohesion, we've got more than 98% because we are always able to go into a community, learn about that community, make sure the information is tailored to that community. So that way they're able to have a better social and health impact as opposed to just being like, oh, I want to go to the doctors. And I'm not saying, the doctors are amazing. I love the NHS. But I also start to realize after my 20 years experience in public health, dietetics and other fields that it's not always BAME sensitive. It's not always appropriate. You can't take a person when their food and their culture is their identity. It's included in their lives and be like, oh, I want to change you into having beans on toast.
Yeah.
It's just not going to work.
It doesn't make sense really. And I think that's a really good point actually. It's something that I haven't necessarily thought about with food and how food relates to people's cultures and identities and obviously it's really nice to hear that and I was going to ask the question, what do you find most challenging and what have you found most challenging? Is it the BAME and the being a woman CEO, or is it the engagement of the communities themselves? Is it something else? But it sounds like, just before we go into that, it really is interesting that it's not taught, and it's definitely not a big thing in this country, that I've seen nutrition fit to people's natural diets, if that makes sense, because I think it is such a big thing and quite easy to look over. Has that been quite challenging then, would you say, because you've mentioned that, would you say?
Yeah, you know what, it's funny, right? So when I first started, not everyone took me seriously, and that's okay, because you know what, I've got grit, that beautiful magic power. So I will work until I can be heard. But I think it wasn't necessarily to be heard, because when I first started out, I was a young mum, so I worked in the NHS when I was 22, so my son literally just turned 1 year old. And because of my passion for food and the chef side, I was always reading labels from young, so I was the only Black female in the whole department. So basically, when you look at public health nutrition, it's not a bad thing. I mean, it is, but it isn't. It depends how you look at it. So my thing is, I did go through a bit of discrimination, especially with one member of a healthy eating team in in my borough, which is okay, because the thing is, as far as I'm concerned, I'm a fighter, and so I will just make sure that I'm just supporting, like, my mission, I think, overrides my challenges. So like I said to you, when it comes to my disabilities, for example, so I'm partially sighted. You can clearly see that I'm literally blind in my left eye. I have my dyslexia, so my team and my amazing board members help me to just ensure that my work shines through. But I also feel like my disabilities, as it would be said, is the greatest things happen to me, because the way I'm able to connect to the community, not a lot of people will be able to do that. So I really try to find out about the community, welcome everyone in. I mean, Trina will tell you, not a lot of people, when they come over, they're not friends, they don't know each other. Do you know what I mean? They just come along, and at the end of the session, they're friends. They're like, oh my God, let's go for coffee. Like, let's have fun together. And I think that feeling for me, that I'm building communities that overrides the challenges. Yeah, I'm going to go through some discrimination. It's not nice, but it's just reality of being a Black woman. And sometimes you're going to face that. But I think that what's so beautiful right now with just not only the George Floyd situation that happened, but I think a lot of people and our white counterparts like yourselves have opened up. They've realized that they don't want to necessarily contribute to that systematic racism that's basically there to oppress us. Basically, like, I think the conversations that I'm having with my fellow Black sisters and brothers is that, we've been fighting for, it's always been a fight that we didn't choose to have, but we had to do it. So regardless if you're going to have discrimination in any professional setting of your field, you can always rise above that and maybe educate as opposed to just being angry. And it's easy to be angry. I mean, I could have gone down that route, but I chose not to, because my vision and my dream is much greater than any challenges that I'm going to face.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. It really does. And I think it's really, obviously this year has shown everyone how vulnerable any part of the population is. But unfortunately, still, there's been a lot in the media, along with Black Lives Matters, that have said that minority groups are suffering more overall, which it just blows my mind that still is the case, really. It's scary to think that even within medical cases that minorities are suffering. It really is. But obviously you've started this to combat that.
Yes, I did.
You've done it for how long now? How many years did you say?
So I've been doing fighting in health inequality in the BAME community for the last 15 years, but I've been doing it with 6 years for Feed Me Good. So when I started, and it's funny because I was working with Castlehaven about a week ago, was delivering an over 60s workshop cooking one, and I was delivering, and I remember speaking to our granddads and grandmas, and they were like either from Sri Lanka, Hong Kong, Nigeria, like a mixture. And I was saying to them, like, because they were like, wow, you know so much about our food and our traditions. I said, yeah, but why would I not? And then I realized there's a massive disconnect between the older generation that has amazing knowledge and the new generation that doesn't necessarily have that knowledge and it's not passed down. So I realized how important it is to be that gap, because my mom, I don't know, maybe my influence would be much stronger. I remember when I was doing my dissertation, it was about to ascertain whether feeding Afro-Caribbean children an Afro-Caribbean diet can lead to childhood obesity. And it was very detailed. I went into all sorts from epigenetics to migration. But one thing I realized from my research is that there is a big disconnect if you say your grandma is from the Caribbean and then you are like second generation, you're more tend to kind of sway towards the Western diet. And it's not always good, but it depends on like what food you're having. So I think for me, it's really important to bridge that connection, to be like grandma, granddad, or, uncle, auntie, you've got incredible knowledge that I want to share, and I want to bridge that with others.
Yeah, because it's not passed on.
It's not passed on. And if it's lost, we're going to have way more health inequalities.
It is. I've got my best friend. He's Iranian, three brothers, and their mum makes one of the best lasagnas. I call it a lasagna. Obviously, lasagna traditionally is an Italian recipe. However, it is a Persian style Italian kind of lasagna thing, and it's amazing. I've tried making it for years, and I cannot replicate it. It is, and it's to do with the spices. It's somehow how she does it. I'm not sure, but it's really hard, and I wish that we could have that. I mean, I've been asking her for years to write the recipe down for me, but she refuses to as well. But it would be nice to know how that was done, because that is going to be lost eventually. And it's a fantastic recipe. They do hold fantastic. It's like your mother's cookbook, isn't it?
Yeah.
I guess that's the idea.
But how many of us even have that? Like my mum, she's an incredible cook, right? So I've always got the magic hands. I got it from my mum and my auntie, Sandra. And I was thinking, like, you want to pass on things, but why don't you just pass on your family heirloom? That could be a book. It could be like all your recipes and your medicines that you would do. Like my dad, he would put like allspice or pimento, as we call it, with like different alcohols, and he would and with herbs like thyme, and make it soak in a bottle for men. And then when he has joint problems, he just slaps it on. Like there's so many things that is so rich in our cultures, but we never celebrate it. We never really pass that on. Like, this morning I put a post and I was like, I just have my little alter ego, like Auntie Nunu. And I'm like, before you leave your house, make sure you boil this tea, because you need to sort your immune system out, especially now more than ever, but it would have been amazing, like, if she could have wrote that down for her children. So that's not lost in her.
Yeah, no, exactly that. It really is. So obviously 6 years, 15 years in total. There must be something that you love doing about this job. You can't be doing it that long if you don't like it. So what's the funnest part about this? What do you really enjoy about it?
Okay, so I think it would probably be more than one thing, because I think the first thing is I love meeting new people and making like my family. So my Feed Me Good families, that's like everyone. And it's not like family, like just like one person, it's like everyone together. I love being creative as well, because I'm an open box thinker. I'm very innovative in my approaches. So I'm not really the most conventional. But I love like working with my staff, but also my clients. I like to make people's life easier, especially when you have big clients. You're like, thank you so much for this opportunity. Like I try to be humble with that. And I think also another thing is, so let me give you examples. So my son, you know, when you got a teenage boy, like I think about I'm creating a life for him and me that has legacy and purpose, but I can also take time if I need to look after him, like, you know, do things with him. The last 2 days I had some time with my mum. I have this massive billboard in IKEA Greenwich store, and I've got a massive room set. And I was able to take my mum there and show her, like, mum, look what I'm doing. And she was so proud. And then getting lost in the M25 trying to get back to Carlson.
I was going to say getting lost in IKEA.
Yeah,
they are that
not
big.
even at IKEA. I know. I wish, right? I was literally like, Mum, you got to get off the junction. She's like, no, God, Nureen, Betsy. And I was like, no, Mum, please. We've lost the junction twice now. But, you know, and I was thinking, like, I had time with her yesterday and I had time with her today. And I've had a lot of success, but I don't think I didn't sit down to take the time to see how grateful and like how loved I am and that I'm doing amazing work, but I can have that time with my friends and family and all the people that I'm working with, because it's so easy just to keep being busy, you know, busy, chasing something, you know, you're chasing the next thing, like I was doing before for the last 6 years, and then having burnouts and being completely stressed out. And you know, you love what you're doing, but you're not giving yourself that time. You're not giving yourself that time to appreciate your loved ones. So I went to Spain, came back, got lots of love for my friends and family, but also started to really acknowledge what I'm doing. You know, I think that was probably the acknowledgement side, and knowing that I'm making a difference, knowing that I'm able to equip someone. You know, they'll have that lovely saying, like, if you give someone a fish, they'll feed themselves. But if you teach them how to fish, they'll fish. You know, they'll teach the whole community. And I feel like Feed Me Goods is doing that, and I absolutely love that. And I wouldn't be able to, you know, there's times when like COVID hit and we had to transition like 1 week to get all our services online from face-to-face delivery. You know, my girls and I worked hard with everything. I made some sacrifices that I had to in order to make sure that things were running smoothly, and it did. And I'm so grateful for the blessings that we're having right now, like the National Lottery funding, which I'm like, my God, thank you so much. But it's all of it, you know, it's the full journey of getting to this point to like meet amazing people like Sandra, you know, Trina, yourselves, that I'm able to talk to you guys and be like, I'm so happy and grateful. You know, what I'm doing is really making an impact. I'm not going to stop. I want Feed Me Good to be global. I want our innovative ideas to be a part of the curriculum, a part like, you know, research, people understand the BAME community, because there's a lot of us. You know, you can't group us in one. It's the same. You can't group all Muslims in one. Yes, they're Muslim, but everyone's got their own countries. They've got their own traditions. They're not the same. They might be similar, but they're not the same. It's the same as Black people. We're not all the same. But we have similarities and we're beautiful. And I think that's what my vision is to bring harmony, you know, to beat down that health inequality that we face, teach you what you need to know. You can take control and you know, and thrive. Not survive, thrive as well.
Yeah, no, exactly that. And I guess that's what's coming next for you then, just growth.
Yeah.
You just want to keep going. You're in IKEA. You've mentioned that a few times. I'm really interested about this. So what do you do in IKEA?
Yeah, so I'm a brand ambassador for IKEA. It's amazing, right? I feel like literally, it still kind of blows my mind. So I started my sustainable journey 4 years ago in Live Lagom, which is it's a Live Lagom. So basically, it's just the right amount. It's a program that IKEA does for IKEA families, and it teaches customers in store and online how to have sustainable practices. So initially, when I applied, as you do, you don't think you're gonna win. You're like,
just kind of put in for it, see what happens.
Yeah, I was like, I'll take the £300. I'll teach my community, no problem. And I was chosen. I was like, Ross, okay, so yeah, literally, I won. Okay, I'm one of the people, no problem. I'm representing Wembley store. And then I remember, you know, I like challenges. I'm quite competitive, as you would be. And one of my students, Gavin, I was teaching in Essex, and he was like, "Oh, Nureen, you know, if you live off a certain amount of money a week, then I'll pay attention to you." I was like, well, let's bet on this then, innit? So I said to him, like, I'm gonna get you one up here. I'm gonna feed a family of 4, all their meals, dinners, breakfasts, teas, drinks, all they need for £60 for 21 days. Bit ambitious, right? But obviously I won in it, got 25 days out of that. So what I did is I posted every day all the dishes that I was making. I showed a picture of all the food shopping I bought and did a menu every single day I was posting, and I beat my own target. And they got noticed. And then IKEA was like, "Oh, hello, who's this Nureen lady?" And I worked with Hermina, one of my staff members. We did like a leftovers, like repurpose it again. And Aileen was like, "Oh my God, well, this is amazing." And I got featured in the magazine. And then after I did my first Facebook Live with Hubbub and IKEA, which was incredible. They were like, it was like, wow, there's something in this. And then it was like, okay, online, magazine, flown to Germany, be a part of some sustainable One Home, One Planet. And then it's like I've just been going from strength to strength. So I do work in IKEA Greenwich store, which is the most sustainable store in the UK. And then I do online for Live Lagom and Facebook group. And then I also just done a takeover for IKEA Greenwich store. And I think I'm going to add one more store, IKEA Tottenham. So I do a lot of stuff with IKEA, which is like, wow, like it's my favorite store in the world. I'm always, my whole flat's IKEA, literally, and I'm always gifting. Like, do you want something? You want something IKEA? Yeah, all right, darling. Don't worry, let me hook you up. But it's just so fun. Like, I think what's so funny about Aileen and Sharon's actually born on my birthday, which is so funny. She's like my twin, but she's like a white Scottish lady. And what's so funny is when I go to them with ideas, right? I get scared sometimes, thinking, is it a bit too out there? They're like, no,
they love
like,
it.
I can't do the Sky, but I can't do the accent, but they love it. They're like, Lord, you never stop it. I was like, yeah, I don't, but I just get inspired. Like, it's lovely to have that creativity to be able to be like, can we try this?
Yeah,
it's a bit out there,
especially when people are going, try it.
Yeah, and it's a big brand.
I can imagine it's great fun.
Yeah, and it's just like, and they're like, yeah, but obviously within reason. But I know their ethos is in IKEA. Like, I met the CEO twice of the Inca group, and he's very lovely. And I've got not even just them, but I'm like working with a lovely something really close to my heart actually, Box Tropics. So they're an Afro-Caribbean delivery service, and it's 2 sisters that started it, Marcia and Claudia. And I looking at them, and they started during COVID. I'm like, this is blooming incredible. They deliver to your door. It's your yam, your green banana, all this amazing stuff to your door. They're Black owned, female, amazing. And I get a 10% discount for all my students, which I'll talk about after. But it's just, if I didn't start Feed Me Good, where would I be? Because I literally would have probably been working in a manufacturing company, being really unhappy, having no time with my child, not really raising my child, no time with my family and friends, not making an impact. And that's sad. For me, that was sad. Not for anyone else, but for me, that was, So the fact that I'm able to work with incredible big brands, small brands, but also charities, different organizations, and my amazing, housing associations that literally are our bread and butter, and make that social impact and make that health impact as well. That brings me so much joy. That makes me know that I'm living to my name. And I know that a lot of Arabic people or Muslim people will know that, because Nureen stands for light, or person who brings light.
Okay, and new people who want to find you guys, is just your website is obviously feedmegood.co.uk. Instagram, Facebook
Feed Me Good. Feed Me Good. So our website, we just relaunched it, so it's going to be fully relaunched. It was on Monday, so this Monday coming. So this will probably be, what is it? Monday the 5th. Yeah. October the 5th.
It is.
So we're going to be relaunching that. We'll be doing a lot of stuff this month. I'm actually really excited because I did a whole workshop, which I met Tarina with, on Black History Month. So we did like all recipes from the Caribbean and Brazil. So I learned some Brazilian food as well. So we're going to be talking about like showing you guys the recipes for that, and a lot of immunity stuff this month, because God knows everyone's getting sick and we ain't got time for that. So
agreed.
so it's like, feed me good. That's what we are. We feed you goodness. We give you knowledge. We give you power. We make sure that you are having those amazing sustainable tips and like practices that you would have maybe done at home if you're not from this country, but you're doing it at home now and you're teaching your kids. So and your family. So yeah, Feed Me Good, feedmegood.co.uk, Feed Me Good on Instagram, and then we're going to have Feed Me Good students one for the private group to access the lessons.
Oh, brilliant. Okay.
And what's also amazing is our courses will be, or by the time this comes out, they'll be accredited. So they'll be CPD
Right.
accredited, which means it's your continued professional development.
Yeah. Brilliant. Well, we're going to hear from one of your members /
Yes,
students
you
now.
are. Thank you so much for having her. Do you know what? She literally, I was like, darling, I know I haven't spoke to you for a bit of time, but can you come down, please? And she said yes. And I was like, Sandra's like, Nureen. I'm like, I'm trying to get someone from South London. And I was so grateful. And I've literally been with her for the last 4 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a long time. So, but no, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, hi, yeah. So my name is Tarina, and I've been doing community. I've been involved with community. I'm sure I'm going to show my age now. I'll say for about the last 30 years. So I've done
a long time
it's been quite a while. I've done all sorts of things actually, all different activities, and I made amazing friends along the way. Some of the activities I've done on my own, and some of the activities I've done with my children when they were a little bit older.
Okay.
Because when you've got like a young family, and like I was studying and doing lots of different things, and money was quite hard at that time. So I always used to look out for like free community events. I remember like years ago, and I still sort of keep in touch with a lady once in a while. When my daughter was little, we done like African drumming, I think in Camberwell Library. And I don't know how I find all these events, but I just kind of just merge myself. And I suppose now with like the internet and stuff, it's quite easy to find.
I was
like
going to say, how did you come across all of them then? Is it the internet you use?
It was the internet, but those days when I first started, it wasn't really the internet. So I think I just used to get talking to people, and they say, there's an event next week or something like that.
Oh, that's good.
So it's word of mouth. Yeah, so I'm really I've got a big community spirit, and I've been doing charity work for many years as well.
So how did you get involved with Feed Me Good then?
Well, what it was is I used to work for a charity about 5 years ago, and we had a close partnership with a housing association. And I remember one day I was asking one of the guys, is there any community groups that they're doing? And he said, yeah, they're going to be doing a healthy cooking group in a couple of weeks' time. So I signed up, and that's how I met lovely Nureen. So that's how it started about 4 years ago.
Fantastic. So you was running for a couple of years by that point.
Yeah.
Feed Me Good. It was already a couple of years old and you got involved. Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, was that kind of... what was your kind of experience then when you you signed up to that first class, got involved with that?
Yeah, because what it is, my background is that we're like our family, we're really, really big on food. So I've always I spent many years cooking, and my children were really, really big on food. So I grew up. We did have takeaways. I remember getting fish and chips, chicken and chips, Chinese and stuff.
Got to be done now and then.
But I suppose because
especially as the weather gets bad. I love a takeaway. I'm awful for it. I'm really.
But my parents are really good. Like both my mum and dad, they're amazing cooks. So I remember I used to go to the markets with my mum, and they used to buy all of the ingredients fresh, and they used to cook. So I would say growing up, 85 to 90% of our meals was fresh products, fresh cooking, and then maybe on a Friday you'll get a takeaway.
Yeah.
So I didn't really grow up with a lot of too much junk food. So I've always really been big on cooking. And I remember there was one Sunday when my daughter was about 2, I cooked away, and it's only when I sat down and looked, I had roast potato, mashed potato, boiled potato, rice, plain rice, this chicken, that, and I didn't realise. I just really was cooking up a storm, and it was just us two, and I thought, wow. So yeah, I've always had a love of food, and I did grow up with different cuisine. But the good thing about I learned a lot from Noreen in the sense of there were certain cuisines I never cooked at home, but I used to go to Brazilian restaurants, for example. But I never once thought of cooking that meal at home. So,
and do you think that's because we don't know the recipes, or because I always find for instance Chinese food. I quite like cooking, but the idea of cooking Chinese food terrifies me. It looks so difficult to do because it's not doesn't fit the normal style of cooking. So is that why you don't think you tried it, or
that's why. And I think because sometimes I have this idea I want to cook a different cuisine, and I've got only maybe 2 bits of the ingredients at home. So
we do that a lot, don't we? We do that a lot.
And I feel, all right, this ain't gonna work. I'm gonna improvise. And if you improvise that much, you're not really doing the ingredients.
It's a whole different recipe by the end of the night. Yeah.
So I mean, going to like Noreen's class, one of the things I've learned is to, if you're really gonna do that meal and you want it to be authentic as much as possible, when you go shopping now, get all the ingredients as much as you can, so that when you're ready to create that meal, you're not doing it like half-heartedly. You've already got all like the ingredients.
You can relax into it, I guess, a little bit without the stress of trying to fill in the gaps.
Yeah. So that I've learned quite a lot from Noreen. So that was different different cuisines.
Yeah.
Was one
and that's kind of the favorite bit, I guess. I mean, obviously you've worked with other organizations as well. So do you find, obviously the cooking you've enjoyed, like you said, your family is big in the family and things like that, but what's your favorite bit about going to these kind of
the community group? I like to actually go out because I just think, what am I going to do on the weekends? And sometimes it is nice to meet family and friends, but sometimes the weather is cold and people's got other engagements. So it's going out to different community groups and meeting people that some of them actually become lifelong friends. Like I have made some friends over the 4 years of going to Noreen's classes, and actually me and Noreen's become friends. Even though she's my teacher, she's actually a friend as well.
Yeah, which I think is important for a lot of organisations.
Yeah,
and can be forgotten a lot of the time as well.
Yeah, it's going out and meeting different people and stuff. Because a lot of people live alone, and some people maybe haven't got family and friends nearby. So it's that community getting together that makes it special.
Okay, and what have you got next steps lined up with Feed Me Good? Are you continuing working with them?
Well, I've never missed a class.
Not in the 4 years since you started. Fantastic.
No, since I've been going, my mum's been a couple of times.
Oh, so it's full family event now.
My daughter's been, and I think last year when we did a class and we brought all these containers home, then I think a couple, because we get food to bring home, and then a couple of my brothers came up, so they had food and that, so we ended up feeding quite a lot of people. So it's good. It's nice to have a giggle and laugh and meet different people along the way.
Yeah, and I think that's the exact point, isn't it? Like, as well as the
and that get together
about the foods and the actual health benefits that can bring, just the ability to meet like-minded people who are there just to enjoy themselves is one of the key.
And learn from different people. Like I've met some amazing people through going to the classes and stuff. So it's good.
So apart from obviously feeding the whole family, what's the how have you felt? What kind of, obviously 4 years is a long time to go
it's a long time.
As well as meeting the people, what have you learned that's really benefited your health?
You know, one of the main things I've learned is, because I'm quite a savvy and frugal person, so that I can spend money on maybe doing things that I really like going on holidays and giving gifts and so forth. And I felt that I was spending too much money. I was going to a lot of the major supermarkets, and then always wondering how come I'm spending so much money on food. And obviously we all need food, whether you eat meat, you're a vegetarian, whatever your dietary, you're all gonna need food. So going to Noreen's class, it really made me think that I am spending too much money on food, even though I was thinking I was doing well because I'm always cooking from scratch. But the ingredients I was buying, I could have still got it a lot cheaper in that.
Right,
so now what I tend to do is I do as much as I can get a lot of fresh fruits and vegetables from the market, and not getting it all packed up all nicely, because then you're paying for the packaging.
Yeah, I think there's one thing that people always say to me whenever this topic comes up of prepping the food. Okay, time. Where do you find the time? You obviously have children. You obviously have a job.
Yeah.
So where do you find the time to cut up? That's what people would initially say. I definitely believe in it myself. But the first argument people normally have is they don't have the time to like peel all the carrots and cut them. They'd rather buy them
Yeah, but
pre-cut.
then
So
you just spend, you're just wasting so much money, and it really doesn't just, it doesn't take long to do that. You can even have the radio on or a bit of
and I think that's the
music
thing that people
playing.
stop doing.
Yeah,
They don't take the time to enjoy themselves and actually experience
yeah,
something. It might just be, it might take 10 minutes longer, but their mental health can really just to pause, just to distract yourself from the world outside and peel some
yeah.
carrots might
I
make
mean,
a
you're
difference,
just
right?
paying for somebody. You're paying that so much more extra for somebody to peel the carrot, and really, it's not
And
that
unfortunately, it's not a
hard
person;
to
it's a robot
do.
nowadays. So we're
That's
not even paying
doing
someone an
it.
actual wage to do it. It's literally a robot peeling it for us. So
Yeah.
it is a shame.
You just
It
have to
is,
really
yeah.
make time. I mean, normally when because of COVID, a lot of people are working from home. But normally when I'm traveling and commuting, I've got a kind of rule, like within half an hour of getting home, I do try to tend to put the dinner on, because if not, you just
It gets
you get
lazier
a
and lazier.
pizza from the freezer.
That's
So,
a good rule to follow.
yeah,
Actually,
I
I can
do
imagine
try
how
to
that
cook.
works.
Yeah, otherwise you're not gonna put it on. So yeah, because there are times that you're really, really like tired and
Of
stuff, and
course,
you don't, and that's where like the pizza, and I mean, I do get like oven stuff, but I try just to have oven stuff about once a week.
yeah.
I
Okay.
do tend to cook most of my meals from scratch, but then you can do quicker meals like soups, vegetable soups, all depending, or when it's warmer, salads. You don't always have to do like food
A
that's
hot.
stews that are going to
Yeah,
take
yeah,
long and
yeah.
stuff.
Yeah,
Egg
because salads are
salad
quite
and
easy to put
salads of
together, aren't they? They
yeah.
really are. They're like surprisingly, and obviously nutritious and filling as well.
Yeah,
So.
you could have a bit of chicken breast or fish or something on the
Yeah,
side, all
yeah.
depending.
We're big fans of tuna.
Yeah,
Anyway,
tuna.
anyway.
Yeah,
So this year, like everyone knows, and we always mention it. We can't get away from it. But this year has made a big impact on people, right? Positives and negatives
Yeah.
around. As we're talking about food, I can even think just of positive and negatives of food. So, for example, we're at home more, so we do have the time to cook. We do have the time to actually prep our food and think about what we're eating. However,
Yeah.
people's livelihoods are slightly getting pinched, so have got less money to buy the good food and things like that. So I guess this is where Feed Me Good really comes into
Yeah,
play. And
definitely.
do you find that there's things in particular that have made this that make this job harder to manage, or do you think there's things that make it easier?
Working from home and
Like
stuff.
being able to manage your food and finding the time. As in this year, do you think it has made it harder, or do you think it's
I
made it
think in
overall?
some instance it has been a little bit harder, because I think when you're going to work and you're buying snacks, if you're that type of person that will bring like the crisps and the biscuits and the donuts, the thing is, when you're bringing it to work, you might have one or two because you're bringing it to share.
Yeah.
But at home, it's a different thing. You can sit down and quite easily have half a packet of biscuit and a cup of tea. Well, you might not have done it.
Quite
So,
easily, yeah.
quite
It is quite
easily,
easily.
yeah.
I think there's a lot of people out there that will be
And I
feeling a
mean-
very, very
I mean, I'm sat
similar
up in the
feeling.
kitchen, which is probably not the right place to be, because my snack cupboard is right behind
so an
me.
arm length away kind of thing.
Yeah. So I think working from home, I think you have to set personal goals. Like I've sort of starting to set a personal goal that if I'm gonna have breakfast meetings, is to have fruits rather than stuffing a bacon sandwich down my throat. Because I seem to be the only one. Like I'm arranging the breakfast meetings, but I seem to be the only one eating.
Everyone else
So
is
I
taking a break
thought,
from
yeah.
it.
So I just thought, no, now I'm really gonna have to like cut this thing down and be a bit healthier. But also, you can make your own snacks. I'm
I was
big
going
on.
to say, what would you advise?
Yeah.
Is this where you would making your own snacks, prepping your lunches rather than
Like I
getting
go
out?
to certain shops and I went to one big shop and their food is good, but it's expensive. And a couple of years ago, they had a protein pot which was egg and spinach for quite a lot of money. When you can just do that egg and spinach.
I've seen the
as
exact
like
pot
a protein.
you're on about. Yeah, they're about £2.50 for a boiled egg
they're
and
not cheap.
a pinch of
Well,
spinach.
you can do that. You can go to a cheaper supermarket or or a market and get
You
that.
just prep it yourself. I mean,
And yogurt pots and that with the honey and the fruits. You can do that yourself with put muesli or oats or whatever. So I think you can actually make your snacks yourself, and you can tailor it to if you're gluten free, wheat free, or you don't
Yeah.
like too much sugar and stuff like that.
I mean, diabetes is probably one of the biggest ones where food comes into play for control.
Yeah.
And obviously, I don't think you can actually buy diabetic snacks. I don't think they exist,
Yeah, I
but
don't
they
know
are
if
so easy to make.
they are
You
easy
can
to
like
make.
just banana cake basically without the sugar added, because they can obviously have natural sugars, things
Yeah.
like that. So like banana and oats mixed together,
Yeah.
they taste
They're
lovely.
easy,
There's no
yeah.
sugar in them. But it is a shame that it's really hard to buy. I think, obviously, like you said, wheat intolerant, low GI foods, they've become more and more popular because people have become more aware of those kind of food allergies. But for some of the big ones, like I said, like diabetes, there doesn't seem to be much out there.
Much,
Not that I
yeah.
know of anyway. I might be
Come
uneducated
to-
in there, but I just haven't seen it. So
And come to Feed Me Good classes, and then you can get all nice snacks, which are really a lot healthier.
And it sounds like plenty to go around as well.
Yeah,
which is
and
always
some
good.
of them are not complicated to actually make. And like everything, it's trial and error. If it doesn't come out right the first time, keep trying.
And just keep having a go. So
Yeah,
I was going
keep
to ask
having a
actually, because
go.
obviously you're going to the classes. Did you go to the classes because being from a family that loved their food, did you have a decent level of understanding of how to cook? Do you need that to start the classes, or
No, you don't even have to, because there were some people that say they don't really cook, they live on their own, and a lot of their stuff come up from packets and
Yeah.
stuff. But because Noreen teaches you from the beginning stages of just preparing the vegetables and where she's getting the seasoning and what shop she's bought it from, majority of the cuisines that we cook, you can actually just replicate it yourself at home, and you can source the ingredients quite easy. There was nothing I could remember that I wouldn't be able to make it myself at home.
But you'd have to travel 20 miles to get the right spice.
No, you
like
can
that.
just get them in local
That's
shops.
good.
Yeah.
Makes a big difference. It would. I mean, that's the hardest thing with some of the recipes, but particularly the recipe books. Some of you're like a list of 56 ingredients, and 20 of them you can't get in the country. You're like, well, I can't make this. Don't make it. I just can't get it. I can't do this.
And a lot of the majority of the ingredients you tend to have at home, like tomato puree and garlics and stuff like that.
It's just how to make those ingredients work in the best way, I guess.
Yeah.
In the most tasty way, which is always good. So what advice would you give people who want to get involved with this? Obviously, being involved for 4 years.
Definitely go and Feed Me Good blog or website and contact Noreen, because it is a nice class. Really, everyone's friendly and the food is good, and it's things that, as I said before, you can do at home. And it also, because Noreen also teaches you how to store vegetables so it can stay a little bit longer, so I have less wastage. I mean, since going to Noreen's class, I haven't done so much with roast veg. Like before, I used to throw away more stuff, but now I'm thinking, all right, that looked like it's ready to go, so then I'll do like roast veg with like maybe baby potatoes,
and then it's
carrots,
got another couple of days life
onions,
after that, right?
Yeah,
you can put it in the fridge and
so
eat it
I've
for a
got
couple of days.
and I don't spend as much as what I used to.
Well, food wastage is it was this morning I was looking, obviously with this in mind, 6.6 million tons of food gets wasted in the UK, or that was the estimate in 2018, which works out 91 and a bit kilograms per person every year who lives in the UK. So my body weight in food, on average, every person actually wastes, which is huge. That is a lot of food. I mean, I'm sure through the years I probably could have been better, but I was overwhelmed with that number. It really is. Basically your own body weight on average is what you waste every year, and something like 40-45% of that is actually food that could have been eaten at that time. It didn't have to be thrown away. So I mean, if that's one of the lessons, I mean, I think irrelevant of your own individual health on this is a global issue. This really is. Food wastage is a global problem. It does need to be corrected in some way, and I guess this is a good step towards it.
Yeah, I mean, saving money going to Noreen's classes and learning it just meant that I can go on more holidays. Like I've been going on, not this year because of COVID, but
Of
naturally
course,
I've
yeah.
been going to UK trips and stuff. I normally have like one main holiday a year, but saving money and food, it just means that I can go maybe Scotland for a weekend
Yeah.
or Brighton or somewhere else. So I'm putting that money that I would have spent and just maybe thrown away onto something else that I
Yeah.
enjoy and the family enjoy.
And I think that's a very indirect benefit, if that makes sense. Because
Yeah,
obviously the natural benefit of eating well is your
the
physical
health.
health, your mental health, the attitude of general life around it. But being able to save on top of that
And do
and then be able to
things.
enjoy life more because of it and still be eating healthy, I think. Well, unfortunately, the corporate world don't like it. But
Yeah.
that's just unfortunate. It would be better if that was the case. But well, it's been brilliant talking to both of you.
Thank you
It really
so
has.
much.
But thanks very much, guys.
Thank
It's been
you.
really nice speaking to you.
Thank you. It's my first podcast. Thank you. Yeah, I love it. Thank you so much.
So that was Feed Me Good. Nureen, Tarina, thank you very much again. It was a real pleasure actually having a chat with you guys. Do check their website out at www.feedmegood.co.uk. Also, keep up to date with Community Bridges stories on our website at communitybridges.co.uk. And don't forget to like and leave your thoughts and comments. Otherwise, have a good week and we'll speak to you soon.